where wage negotiations between the unions and Eskom are continuing. The power utility is giving feedback from unions on its new offer of 4.7%.
Real increases for workers, but also turnaround for Eskom for the future, because as unions here, we're very serious about the future of Eskom. Of course, we also dealt with the issue about wages, which we have presented. And I can confirm that Eskom have received that, and they have taken a caucus, having reflected on our collective response and its demand. They have taken a decision that they need to be given time to go back to their principals, to reflect. We will meet again tomorrow at 10.
Mr. Jim, without going into too much detail, clearly, the number that you've counter-proposed in terms of the wage demand, how much closer is it to your number than their number?
No, unfortunately, if we start to do that, you will be pushing us to begin to reveal what positions, and we're of the view that that will compromise negotiations. Remember, this is a very delicate process. We're dealing with mandates for workers. Of course, we are not messengers. We have got a duty and a responsibility to look what are the mandates for workers, engage, bargain. But it would be wrong to talk to our workers via the media. It's important for Eskom to respond, and at an appropriate time we'll be able to communicate to yourselves what has been our bargaining strategy, having reflected to the position of Eskom yesterday.
Now, so then, with that in mind, what's the purpose of day 3 of your meeting? What is
tomorrow we will receive we hope that Eskom will be given a mandate such that we can get a feedback, and once we receive those feedback, depending what's the nature of the feedback, because if the feedback looks good, that we think it makes sense, we might have to take it back to our members. But if the feedback is not looking good, we might have to take a view as to what is our attitude towards that. But I mean, that's all delicate process that we would have to handle. We can't now sit and begin to think what's going to happen tomorrow. We must give Eskom a chance to come back to us.
So would there be plans for a follow-up meetings if tomorrow doesn't yield?
Well, we're here to negotiate. We want to find a permanent solution to this round of negotiations.
Can we get a comment from Solidarity? We're just going to drift over slightly.
I think the good news is that the trade unions consolidated their positions. That was the hardest part, to do that, coming from 3 different entities. Now, we're looking forward to Eskom's response on our consolidated position tomorrow, and I think tomorrow's outcome will determine exactly where we're going with this thing. But I believe there will be good news. The intentions of the parties is there to conclude this agreement and not to delay it any longer. In the interest of South Africa, exactly. That would be most probably the best thing to do.
Okay, we're going to go to the NUM's chief negotiator.
Helen Diatil. Safe to say it was a challenging moment for NUM, considering that we were the champions of unity, and we have to make sure that we're working together, and the movement and things the way they are happening is not what we had anticipated, especially for today. And we have to go and humble ourselves to the members and tell them what has transpired. So for us, it's an opportunity to be able to consult with our members and tell them what is going on and why. And we're hoping that that will happen without Eskom disclosing what was said in this negotiations. There has been a lot of concessions and a lot of changes that were not anticipated. But as General Secretary of NUMSA has said, we are not messengers, we are negotiators. But again, for us as the National Union of Mine Workers, we were brutalized yesterday by people in the media where we were communicating that we change mandate without consultation and we don't tell people who end up signing. So we're respecting this process because we have initiated it through COSATU, and the minister has put his eyes permanently in this committee. He doesn't want waste of time and he doesn't want waste of resources. Under that pressure and the pressure that the society and the people of the Republic have been putting on us, we had no choice but to work with others and to be on par with what has to be seen as responsible to the society and the community. I mean, the South Africans at large.
Just how confident are you that we're going to find resolutions sooner rather than later?
We have to find resolution sooner than later. We have compromised a lot. And if Eskom is not going to be in their senses, they will really be putting us into a serious problem. And it will be what we have said. In fact, much as we have to go back and expect tomorrow to make changes, it's disappointing that we would not be in this situation had they have responded to the powered delegation that we requested. They would be around, they would be given solutions, but where are they? They are not there. They are not here. We have requested them knowing exactly the type of people that we are negotiating with. They refused, and we are actually back into that delaying process that Eskom is creating, and it's irritating employees of Eskom, in particular our members, and the and South Africans.
Just a question for me. One, as we stand here now, the mandate, the double-digit mandate that as of yesterday, you were still talking about that is your mandate from the members. Has that changed or not? And then two, I'm not sure if I'm correct, I'm picking up a sense here that you are trying to say that today there was a lot of ground that was covered, a lot of compromises were made, and there is a possibility of an agreement tomorrow. Am I hearing correct?
Why SABC is dreaming these days?
SABC, this is what we want to see. In fact, we can say we have been negotiating with each other. We have negotiated, a lot of time we have negotiated amongst ourselves as trade unions to find anything possible that is not going to put us back and forth. And if Eskom is not positive on this one, honestly, it will be a serious problem. But as to the 2 digits or what ground has been covered will be disclosed at the right moment when our members are informed. For now, we would like members of media to allow us space to keep that into the House and communicate it when the time has arrived. And we'll definitely do that.
Okay, sorry, lastly, just for clarity. Are you at one of those points in negotiations where you say, now we have something to take back to members and hear what they have to say?
I think let's respond. First, I think we all unions came here with their mandates. We have not moved from our mandates, but we have bargained. And therefore, Eskom is reflecting on that. And when you bargain, you got your position that you mandated, you listen to the other party, you advance what you think is in the best interest of your members. That's the zone we are in. We are not in a zone where we can go back to members to report, because members have given us mandate. After Eskom have responded, which is the point I was making, we will be in a position to go back to our members to say, having mandated us, which is, here is an outcome of what we want you to reflect on, or basically Eskom is still continuing with their intransigent position, which they have demonstrated before they were pushed to move away from a 0%. You know now that they are at 4.7, and we have engaged and we've put positions, and I think that's where we are.
Mr. Jim, I think it's only fair that you guys exactly just tell us, have you moved down? Are you sticking to your 15%? We know that Eskom wants 4.7. You guys were quick to tell us that that was the table on the offer yesterday. So I think we just need to know exactly how are you guys coming down from this 15% or not?
Okay, can I answer you?
Yes.
Collective bargaining, which we're busy with here, is not collective begging. It's collective bargaining. Whether we move down or we move up, that has to do with how Eskom is going to respond. For instance, we could have a very rigid position on a particular issue, but that issue is not addressed in isolation to the rest of the package of issues that you are negotiating. And if Eskom become negative on that particular issue, it means we can say we're very firm on what we're willing to be flexible about. So it's very difficult to negotiate until to communicate to you as to where exactly are we, because we have presented a comprehensive package of issues to Eskom. If you were, I think you missed that. I was making the point that we took a comprehensive approach that basically say to Eskom, these are your cost drivers. Concretely, we're saying this is how these cost drivers must be addressed, because if these cost drivers are addressed, then your balance sheet would be strengthened, and we have to reflect on ourselves and say what then should be a package of core demands in relation to the wage structure and to the actual core demands of workers. So yes, I can confirm to you that we have bargained here today. We have bargained on wages, we have bargained on the core demands, and all that is not with us now. The pressure is on the side of Eskom for them to reflect, and I'm sure they will be grappling with, as they look comprehensively to all those demands, will they give us a position that will enable unions to have enough confidence to go back to workers and say we've got a package that can be able to settle this round of negotiation? So I think to say we're up, down, it will be very tricky to approach the very sensitive stage we're in negotiations currently.
But is it safe to say that workers have rejected 4.7%?
Well, we have not agreed to 4.7.
Okay, we're breaking.
It's very difficult to satisfy journalists.
Anybody get that?
Has rejected the 4.7.
Thank you.
See, that's the head. She wanted a headline. Well, that was a live crossing to unions at Power Utility Eskom in South Africa, presenting their common response, of course, on the utilities wage offer this afternoon. Now, the three unions you saw there, NUMSA, NUM and Solidarity, spent most of today hammering out a common way forward to be presented before the employer later today. Now, Eskom made an offer of 4.7% after initially making no offer at all. Workers, we understand, have rejected that offer of 4.7%. Well, I'll be back with more news after this. Do stay locked on to the SABC News Channel.